Today we're going to talk about the new Predator and the fact that Games Workshop seems to be the leakiest company known to man. Welcome back. I'm afraid my voice is still absolutely knackered. If anything, it's worse than the video I did on Tuesday. I've been really good and tried to not do a bunch of recording and completely ignore the fact that I sound like an old man who is probably about to die of something horrific. But you know what? We need to talk about this new Predator, and there's also another thing that's happened, and we're going to have a little chat about that as well. But first up, when we saw the Deimos pattern Rhino, I was kind of hopeful that they would be sensible and that they would make it so that the Predator was also a thing, because it seemed daft that you'd be able to get a plastic Deimos pattern Rhino, but you wouldn't be able to get a plastic Deimos pattern Predator. I mean, after all, it's exactly the same chassis. Why would you not do that? And luckily they decided they would be sensible and did exactly that. So now we have a plastic Deimos pattern Predator, and it looks quality. I was going to say you've got the classic shapely curves, but really you've only got some curves. The turret's got curves, the sponsons have got curves, the main body of the tank is a brick with other bricks attached to it at oblique angles, which is exactly what we want. It is pretty much exactly how I remember Predators from back in the day, which is what it should be given the age of this thing. Actually, I've changed my mind. I don't know whether I sound like an old man who's about to die or whether I sound like one of those particularly snooty British newsreaders. The ones that feel like they've got an education that is roughly, 100 times better than yours, and they could have been the head of some sort of, Fortune 500 company but decided to deign to speak to you, the peasants, instead. I feel like maybe I've got that kind of vibe going on, and I think I'm okay with it. Anyway, the Deimos pattern Predator comes in a variety of different flavours, as you might expect. You've got your Predator cannon plus heavy bolters on the sides there, but there's also Volkite Gravis las cannons, and there's a Gravis thing, culverin. What is that even called? Okay, hang on. It'll say just up here. So Volkite culverins, graviton cannon. That's it. Close enough. Whatever. It's pretty much the same thing. We all know what it means. That's a lot of customization in this kit, which is nice. And I'm assuming that this is going to be something that we see in 40k as well. I'm assuming they're not going to only keep this to Horus Heresy. I mean, when the Kratos showed up, that also came with rules for 40k, although they didn't give it the Chaos keyword, did they? No, they didn't. I don't even know if they fixed that, but they should have just put Chaos in there to begin with. What the hell are you playing at, lads? All in all, this is a positive step. This is exactly what I wanted to see. I want to see more of the Horus Heresy stuff become available in plastic. We've talked about this with every single release, where if it's in plastic, it is more accessible, it is easier to build, it is cheaper to purchase, in theory. So there's no part of this that I'm going to complain about because, well, it looks like the resin one, only it's going to cost less and it's going to have a bunch of options on top. What more could you want, apart from it being half the price? But then again, we could say that about literally everything Games Workshop makes, so that's probably an oft-repeated complaint, but still, valid nonetheless. And I have to say, as a particular fan of boxy, brick-shaped tanks, this tickles my fancy. I really like the idea of having some sort of armoured company. A bunch of these, some Sicarans and a Kratos all together in a big unit. I mean, that would look quality. I'd love it. Admittedly, that would just be me making my Imperial Guard armoured company all over again with slightly different tanks, but I don't think that's a bad thing, and if you think that's a bad thing, don't let me know, because you're wrong. Now, those of you who enjoy leaks, do stick around. Those of you who don't enjoy leaks, thanks for watching. I hope you stop by again. Let's talk about the big news of the day, bigger than the Predator, but literally, I think physically bigger than the Predator, which is this picture right here, and this would appear to be Angron by the look of things. Now, I'm not going to do more than just give some first impressions on this, some initial kind of reaction thoughts, because let's be honest, even by the standards of pixelated blurry leak pictures, this is a classic example. This is a particularly bad one. They had an allotment of pixels for the day, and they must have run out well before they got round to photographing this, because holy mother of God, I can't make out any of the details on the face, so we're not going to talk about the face. The overall stature of him is cool. He's massive, which is what you want to see. It looks like he's got... Gorefather is the one he still had, right? And the other sword is the one that Lorgar gave him, if I remember correctly. So he's got two weapons, which is cool. Overall, massive model by the look of things. The wings are in an interesting position. It could just be that he's like landing maybe, but it's hard to tell from this angle, and again, the overall quality of the image is shockingly bad. My gut initial thoughts are that those are new Berserkers. It would be weird if they didn't do new Berserkers if they're doing Angron. Like, why would you not include that? Also, one of them has got like an interesting shaped shoulder pad that looks a bit Cataphracti-esque. It also looks like one of them has got a blade that mimics the blade that Angron's holding. So yeah, my gut instinct is that those are new. It would be very strange if they weren't, and I suspect they probably are. I think we've got some mortal followers of Khorne in the background there, because I don't recognise those either. They're not the current cultist models. I don't think they're the new ones either. There's some kind of long-handled melee weapons going on, so those look new. The Imperial Guard down the bottom of the picture, again, those are backpacks that I do not recognise. So also those are backpacks that I don't recognise for sure. Whether that's an add-on sprue for the Cadians, I don't know. It's difficult to tell. And I'm super suspicious of that little bit of tank that can see in the bottom right as well, right? That looks very different to a Leman Russ or to a Chimera. So I'm holding a Leman Russ right in front of me. The Leman Russ, the top of the track, you've got a straight bit, then it angles down, then you've got a curve as it angles down back on itself towards the ground. That does not have that. That doesn't have it. It does have that kind of, I don't know what to call it. There's like a little mechanical bit at the very front of the tank that's got rivets all round it, kind of on the hull of it. It does have that, but it looks pretty chunky from here. Also, that sponson, I'm trying to work out what weapons it's got on it. It looks like it's got 2 barrels on whatever that is. But again, very hard to tell. I would suggest that is most likely a new tank, if it's anything. But then again, it could just be the shocking quality of the image is playing tricks. That's the gut instinct, but the gut instinct could well be wrong because we've got absolutely no confirmation. So don't get your hopes up, but I just don't recognise it. It also doesn't look like a Baneblade, because the sponson is super far forward and it doesn't seem to be the right height for that either. Very difficult to tell, very difficult. I'd be super interested to see the actual proper version of this image, which, going by Games Workshop's usual approach to these things, will go up about half an hour after this video goes live. So we'll see what happens. Some interesting stuff happening today. Interesting indeed. Let me know what you think in the comments down below. I apologise once again for the horrendous state of what we've just listened to. Thank you very much for watching. Feel free to click all the links, Patreon, video subscribe, all that stuff. Click it if you like, don't click if you don't want to. And as always, there's an affiliate link in the description for Element Games, which you can use to support the channel if you'd like. I leave it in your capable hands. Thank you very much for watching. I'll see you next time.